Now at this point, I want to say two things. You probably noticed that I'm using gloves to touch her letters. That's because I can't even stand touching the same paper that she once touched. And second, I saved these letters as evidence, and they were helpful because they made me realize what I was dealing with in the past. And if I had burned them like she told me to do, I wouldn't have this evidence. If I needed this evidence, she would have manipulated me to destroy them, and then she could do other things, and I wouldn't have a way to prove what she did. So it was good that I saved those letters. Okay, one more thing I want to say before continuing is also a question for you. Have you ever noticed how the narcissist sometimes says silly things, nonsense things, idiotic things? Some of their talks is so irrational, stupid, highly stupid, and when you're in love you just don't see it for some reason. Of course, they make you fall in love first, so that you use the rose-colored glasses and you don't see their imperfections. But they say some very stupid, idiotic things. I remember two of them now. She had a boyfriend, as I told you, and she said, I don't want to leave this guy because I depend on him for my financial security. Okay, that should have been a red flag for a 17-year-old boy, but it wasn't. And because I didn't know how to interpret this data. But basically, these words reveal that she was just using the guy, and that, okay, if she is exploiting this guy, what could make me think that she was not exploiting me either? And okay, and then the other stupid thing she said was when she was making a comment about a girl which was probably 14, 15 years old, and she said, I introduced this girl to marijuana, and I'm glad that I introduced this girl to marijuana because I introduced her in a safe way. Because if she had learned about or used marijuana in other places, on the streets, with other people, it would have been very unsafe for her. And I'm glad that I was there to assist her on her first contacts with drugs. Ain't that the stupidest thing? The most idiotic thing to say? And she considered herself intelligent. She considers herself, her way of thinking as superior. You could feel it in her attitude. And then the reality is that she comes to you and says these stupid things. why you are causing harm, doing harm, exploiting the person, the girl, 14, 15 years old, and then you say that the girl is safe. This girl is not safe. She was already going to the hole. And this woman was taking this girl to the hole with her, while saying she was a superior. She introduced this girl in a safe way to drugs. What a contradiction. What a contradiction. This woman had another characteristic of narcissists and many borderlines, or people with character and personality disorders, which is homosexuality. Many people in town knew that this woman was bisexual, and well, she was trying to get me hooked, and I was 2 years younger than her, and she was introducing this girl to drugs, which was probably 15 years old. It's very easy to have monsters in your head. Can you trust that this woman was not doing anything else? And I'm gonna leave it at that. Continuing with the second letter now. Once again, she writes my name in big letters, and the date here and the time when she wrote this letter. And she comments here in one afternoon in which I went to her house to talk. It was a quick for something, I don't know what I went to do, what I did there. And she says that while I was walking away, she started to imagine things, and when she least expected, she would see herself inside her bedroom, and she leaves it at that. And I take it as a suggestion of something sexual. I don't think I need to say anything else here. And then a few lines later she says that I am head over heels. Of course, in a positive way. Not head over heels, I should use another word. It's when you feel kind of dizzy. I'm dizzy, and at the same time an incredible peace reigns in my inner self, inner being, ... And then she writes, it's you. And I selected this passage here for so that I could make it a point that, more exaggerated words, in which later uh, I realized, and you will realize, that they are just empty words. Empty words. Another interesting part of her second letter. She says that when she's awake, she controls her thoughts, but she cannot do the same thing with her dreams that are unbelievable, unimaginable. And then she puts between brackets, at least for a healthy mind. And that these dreams, and then she says then that her dreams are very intriguing. Ain't it something? She mentions for the first time something related to her mind and to health. And I want you to remember that. Keep this information. Don't forget it. And then she asks for forgiveness if she had tormented me with her revelations, which were very intense in the first letter. And she wants to ask me again that I tell her something, just in case if I feel she is bugging me. And this is an interesting tactic. I've seen it more than once, to more than one person. They feed you with this false impression that you have freedom to say and to ask for your preferences in the relationship. I remember once another manipulative girl, she says that whenever you want to leave this project, was a school project, you are free, nobody's gonna be mad at you, nobody's gonna say bad things about you. But it has the effect of making you more involved in the project, because it gives you a false sense of freedom. But in an underhanded way, behind your back, they are manipulating you. So you have no control of your reactions, of your choices. You feel kind of like you own the person, your engagement in the project, and in this case here of the letters, in the relationship, is a false impression of freedom. And of course I would feel kind of disturbed by this so soon revelation. She was so soon, so intense, and suddenly this girl is telling that she loves me, and with so much intensity, and I of course I felt disturbed. But of course I'm not gonna say anything, because I feel that's unpolite, and I feel that I might break her heart, and that's probably, this intensity prevents you to say no. It's very dangerous, because you feel, oh my God, I'm going to be so impolite, I'm gonna break her heart, I'm a horrible person, and you don't wanna play that part. Once again, manipulated. Once again, you fall in the trap, and you cannot get out. And she puts her hand here, And she says she wants me to put my hands on her hand. Here comes a long paragraph in which I think is very important for you to know. Because it shows how exaggerated and how this forced intimacy is so real in these kinds of relationships. It's forced partnership, forced intimacy, and very fast seduction, very fast sentimentality. And, it fits in the histrionic profile that these people considers the relationships to be more intimate than they really are. And this paragraph shows this. This is her word. Those are her words. These are her words. I must communicate. She says, my name. What did you do to me? She says. Why have you brought me outside, here, outside? And with what intentions? I think outside she means love, I must tell you that you, creature, is the only one, is the only being on this earth that can say with absolute certainty, I know, and then she says her name, Narc 1, I know her in her most truthful face. And I stop here to say that couldn't be further from the truth. I thank you for rescuing me from the pit in which I was falling. Even if you didn't know you were doing it, or even if you had no intention, this is what you did for me, and I must be grateful to you eternally for that. Watch the word eternally. Isn't it exaggerated? Especially after what she did to me afterwards. I must confess that even I didn't know myself completely. And to be knowing myself, discovering what I am able to do or not able to do, has been one of the best experiences of my life, if not the best. She says that she's discovering herself. Maybe I should say she's discovering her false self. And then she comes with this exaggerated thing. She says it's the best experience of my life. She says my name. I would like to tell you that you won a place in my heart and in my mind, the most deep place in my mind you won, that never will be conquered even by time, the cruel time and its traps. For the first time I love, not because something that was said or done, but by your existence, exclusively for your existence. I love you simply, and I love you, and you didn't have to do anything or say anything so that this could happen. It was just enough that you would exist. It was enough that you started being part of my life. And then that was it. You are incredibly lovely. It is impossible to know you and not fall in love with you. Later she says, my words are creating a confusing text, and in fact a very sick text, isn't it? Those are her words. And remember when I told you to remember about when she spoke about mental health? Here she mentions again, I must be with a fever. No, I am totally lucid and I'm acting so crazily. I want to call your attention to this thing about she's saying that her text is sick. Once again, what people say about themselves usually is the truth. She was right. Her text is sick. And she was and still is a very sick creature. Then at the end of this letter she puts her eyes here, and in each one of her eyes she writes, I love you. And at this point, then and now, the main feeling I had was of embarrassment. When you see this complete pouring of feelings so exaggerated, it is so embarrassing. You know, there's a neediness and something so forced and so quick that it feels so embarrassing, and you even feel embarrassed for not feeling the same way. Thanks for your time, and I'll come back with the third letter and final letter.